I'm so honored and excited to be here today to speak to this distinguished group. I'm especially grateful to Phyllis Kossoff for endowing this wonderful lecture, and to Susan Furman, the president of Teachers College, who I have known for many years. Teachers College and Columbia University has played a pivotal role in my life, as I'm sure it has for all of you. As a classroom teacher, I worked with a remarkable educator, Lucy Calkins, and her reading and writing project, an approach that was energizing, groundbreaking at the time, and really put new life in my classroom and made me a better teacher. When I first became a principal, I worked with your clinical psychologist and guidance department with the assistance of one of your trustees, and it was invaluable in moving my school forward. As a superintendent, Teachers College, TC, as we affectionately refer to this college, was a partner in everything we did, including new approaches to professional development and teaching students with disabilities. And I thank Cecilia Euler for her groundbreaking approach in this area. As a deputy chancellor, I saw the birth of the Kahn Fellows and had the privilege of sitting on its board. In this very auditorium, we had one of our very first parent coordinator meetings citywide to ensure that all parent coordinators knew what message to give out to parents. And at the time, it was the first time that we had that role in public schools, and it was really very important. Your work as a university has been exemplary and shows that when smart people get together, anything is possible. I attended a lecture just before I accepted the position of Chancellor that was led by Dr. Aaron Pallas from your staff, and it was one of the most enriching 2 hours I have spent thinking about policy, and I thank you for that kind of thinking at the table. Since I've become Chancellor, I have been humbled by the overwhelming support I have received from teachers, principals, and parents throughout the city. From large town halls to small gatherings, I have been welcomed by open arms by school communities across the 5 boroughs. As a child of Spanish immigrants, I entered school unable to speak English. My teacher marked me absent every single day because I never answered roll call. The name she referred to me by was not the name that I grew up with. I never heard my name called. My father eventually discovered my teacher had been mispronouncing it for weeks and made it his business to come and teach her how to say it correctly. It wasn't Quillen, it was Guiyang, and from that point on, I was marked present. At the time, I could not have imagined going to college, let alone becoming New York City school chancellor. And here I am today, hopefully to share a bit of wisdom I've gained in my 4 decades in education. Today, I am here to tell you what all the answers are to some of our most perplexing educational problems. They're in the room. We are a system of professionals who are passionate about our work, who have the expertise and experience to lift everyone up. If you're searching for answers to the challenges of our work, they lie in the room, in this room and in the classroom. For too long, the education efforts of this city were outside the classroom. That changed 100 days ago. In a system of our scale, 1,800 schools, 1.1 million students, more than 125,000 employees, the challenges we face may seem vast. The path to progress may seem labyrinth-like. And don't think this doesn't keep me up at night. But the solutions can be simple. We don't need to cook up some secret sauce for success. Instead, if we approach our work by recognizing that the answers lie within, we can tackle our challenges, one student, one classroom, one school at a time. But to do that in a system of our size, we can't work in silos. We must work together, both within our individual walls and across our expansive system. That must be our standard for excellence, a back-to-basics approach premised on partnership. One person can make a difference, but teams of people can be historic difference makers. After a career dedicating myself to our city's classrooms, I'm here today to reflect on my first 100 days in office. People stop me in the grocery store and ask, why in the world would you come out of retirement to run the largest, most complex school system? My husband is standing alongside him. He says, don't ask me. I told her not to do it. A job when you can be tripped up with one of your own sound bites, no less. It truly is a beautiful day. I have perfect strangers meeting me and saying, it's a beautiful day, right, Chancellor? And it really is. But no matter what you do or how hard you work, you will never please everyone. So I tell you why I will discuss my vision going forward and our achievement of the past 100 days. I've worked in every level of our system, and over my 4 decades in schools, in my time digging deep for answers, I've unearthed 4 pillars and they will be at the epicenter of everything I do as school chancellor. The first pillar, and one that I believe to the fiber of my being, to return dignity and respect to our workforce, our principals, our teachers need to be respected. We need to say that we honor the teachers, the principals, and school staff who are doing the incredibly hard work on the ground. It takes only one day of someone who is not a professional to spend in a classroom to understand that this is not easy work. Very easy to criticize from the top, but spend one day in the school. I tell people who have very fancy jobs that I would like them to exchange one day to be in a classroom, and I guarantee they'll have a very different vision of what life is like. These professionals command our respect, and we are committed to providing them with the support and training they need to hone their craft. One of my first acts as chancellor was to convene a meeting with principals. Nearly 1,000 principals showed up at Brooklyn Tech and expressed their frustration at not being honored and recognized. They hungered to be consulted about decisions that would affect their practice and to be assisted. As a result of this meeting, we produced an all-day conference for relatively new principals hosted by experienced principals. To my delight, principals have remained in touch with one another and are extending their conversation. Peer-to-peer education, peer-to-peer sharing is really the way to go. We in this room all know that teachers play the most critical role in shaping the lives of children. It's time we give teachers the respect they are due and give them the room to do what they do best, and in the process, return joy to the classroom. The answers are definitely in this room. My second pillar is to improve student achievement by aligning Common Core strategies with everything we do, academics as well as the arts. We must ensure that all our students not only graduate, but graduate with a well-rounded education that will enable them to succeed in college and beyond. By stressing the Common Core strategies in everything we do and increasing our use of technology, we increase the opportunities for success. To this end, we are moving professional development into its own department. We will actually have people at the DOE, amazingly, who will be heading different subject areas. Isn't that unusual? We are honoring the work principals do by making it a requirement that they have 7 years of pedagogical experience before they take charge of a school. This policy was just approved by the PEP and reaffirms the importance of school-based experience. In order to change schools, principals must have credibility, and credibility only comes with experience. Someone in this audience reminded me that when she came to visit our school, Paula Rosen, who writes for Education Update, that she, as I was giving a tour, I went into a particular classroom, and the teacher was doing one of my very favorite lessons, and I just sort of, I guess, butted in and started teaching. And when I teach, I was wearing high heels and a jacket, so I took off my shoes. Paula will never let me forget it, and my jacket. And the reality is, how do you change a school better than showing people in the school that you know what you're asking them to do? And that credibility cannot be done with someone who has never been in a classroom until they become a principal. Finally, we are offering teachers and principals professional days in which they can share best practices, taking advantage of the answers that are in this room. My third pillar is to engage parents in every aspect of school life. Parents matter. Parental involvement and support are crucial to student achievement. Research shows that parents who engage in read-alouds and nurturing educational practices lay a strong foundation for later success in school. When parents are engaged, children in schools benefit. We know they've been shut out too long. We have started to form parent advisory groups and are infusing parents into many of our existing structures. In May and June, we are holding 3 full-day parent conferences on both curriculum and strategies to increase parent involvement in our schools. Parents have not only helped us develop the conferences, they're advising us on how to improve our relationship with them moving forward. We're also hosting an all-day conference later this month for parent coordinators, and 600 people have already signed up. This is the real work, proving again that the answers are in the room. My fourth pillar is to create new collaborative and innovative models within our city and schools. We don't reach the cutting edge when we work alone. Progress happens when we work together, when we harness the vast and exceptional resources of our city and one another. I anticipate deeper collaborations with our cultural institutions and universities in ways that impact our classroom work. I want to honor at this moment Maritza McDonald. Where are you, Maritza? Maritza and I are the godparents of Urban Advantage, a program that came out of Museum of Natural History. And it's one of the things I'm really proud of in my work as Deputy Chancellor, and it's that collaboration between the DOE and cultural institutions that really make a difference. After meeting with over 25 universities and over 100 cultural institutions, it is clear that the answers are in the room with them as partners. These 4 pillars have become the supporting beams of our school system, the essence of all our work going forward. Everything we do will have an impact on the classroom. This is a major shift. Before I talk about the next 100 days, I want to take a minute to reflect on the extraordinary progress we've delivered in the previous 100. As a non-English speaking child, I understand how important education, in particular early childhood education, is in giving kids the opportunity to succeed. That's why I'm such an advocate for universal, high-quality, full-day pre-kindergarten. Had this option existed when I started school, I would have had an additional year under my belt. That's an extra year of expanding a child's vocabulary and building critical thinking skills through rich experiential learning, and ultimately an earlier push up the academic ladder. Many of our pre-K classrooms are nothing short of phenomenal. This is not daycare. This is real learning. In one class I visited, I heard 4-year-olds pronounce multi-syllable words like carnivorous and herbivorous, and actually have an argument with each other about what they meant and which animals posted on the board fit these descriptions. This is not the norm, and all our kids deserve to have this high-quality education. The kids were actively engaged, demonstrating real understanding and all common core experiences. To me, visits to pre-K classrooms are touching, not just because of the caliber of learning. Children were being taught by high-quality teachers. But these visits in particular are touching because you can hear, see, and sense that these students have extraordinary promise simply because they've had an additional year of school. Progress feels more palatable in these rooms. And now, because of Mayor de Blasio's leadership and with funding in place, the city is moving truly towards universal high quality. Children in communities across the city will have time to explore, discover, learn, and make friends during pivotal time. By the 2015-2016 school year, more than 70,000 students will be able to benefit from this historic initiative. But make no mistake, our effort to provide every child with an excellent education does not stop there. In addition to an early school start, middle school has been a particular focus of my first 100 days. It's very close to my heart. As you know, middle school is a tough time for lots of kids, and their parents as well. It's a time of transition. Kids are discovering who they are. And as a parent, I remember this time well. I'm sure you remember it well. As a principal, I remember having a workshop that I had to set up called Surviving Your Child's Adolescence. And it wasn't an easy workshop. The challenge is this. If 7th graders are not totally engaged in academics, many of them do not reach high school. Or if they do, they don't reach it fully prepared. It's clear that if we are to increase our graduation and college readiness rates, we must focus on middle school. This administration, like none before, is committed to devoting unprecedented resources to ensure that the best academics are available to all students in middle school grades. It means that all subject areas will be integrated into reading and writing, which is part of Columbia's philosophy. We want students to be totally engaged in reading for progress both academically and personally. And Lucy, you'll be happy to say this, that one of the mandates and extended time for middle school is independent reading. Research shows us that unless there's independent reading, students will not become real readers. But our efforts must extend beyond the classroom work. It's crucial that middle schools have an emphasis on the arts so that every child can experience chorus or drama or being part of a band. There is no better incentive to be successful in school than to stand before an audience and share your talent. Many parents only go to schools when their kids are performing, and we need to put that performance in place so parents understand that school is not only an extension of the home, but a welcoming place. As a superintendent, I urged middle school principals to put phys ed first thing in the morning to improve attendance. It worked. Something as simple as team sports can also hook kids into schools when some other things don't work. I attended a PSAL final, and the students who were playing, many of them were coming from schools with very serious academic deficiencies, and to a person, they all said they came to school every day so they could practice to be on the basketball team. We cannot diminish other things that kids look for when they come into our schools. Let us not forget the kids who need the opportunity to learn outside traditional classroom time. That's why extended time after the school day is crucial. particularly in neighborhoods where students have few activities that give them an enriched life. As you may know, we're in the process of expanding our after-school programs. These programs are currently in 239 middle schools. Our goal is for every middle school grade to have free after-school programming. You can clap, this is good. Students will benefit from lessons aligned to what they're learning in school, including literacy and math, but they will also get to participate in art, dance, and recreational activities. They'll be having fun, but gaining skills that will help them applying to our addition high schools. Not everyone can afford to have a private tutor to get ready to apply to LaGuardia or Sinatra and many of our other specialized high schools. This will provide an opportunity for kids in all our neighborhoods to be able to have that. As Mayor de Blasio has said, this is not a boutique effort for only a few kids or a few schools. This is a system-wide historic change. Since my first day on the job, I have been meeting with every possible constituent you can imagine. I am now in the process of doing a 5-borough meet and greet with teachers. They are eager to have their voices heard. I already have boxes of index cards full of questions and concerns. I always offer after a meeting, if I can't answer your questions, put it on index cards and we'll get back to you, never anticipating that hundreds of people would want me to get back to them. First time I got back to a parent out in Staten Island, and I said, this is the Chancellor calling, she hung up on me. When I called back, I said, my husband said, maybe it could really be you, so I answered the phone again. And the reality is, it's this notion of listening to people and responding to people that's a really important element of this administration. I'm so committed to visiting schools every week. Up until now, I've been almost to 30 schools, and in every one of them, I have found something that could be replicated and shared with others. Principals are used to hearing, would you please call so-and-so and tell them what I just saw here so they can learn from you? We have to stop keeping what we do well a secret and give it away. That's what educators really should be doing. I highlight these schools in my monthly newsletter, Principal Notes, which is another way to communicate to the field my expectations and aspirations. This newsletter also encourages principals to send me suggestions, and sometimes complaints, and open a dialogue. Nothing epitomizes my commitment to collaboration better than our Learning Leaders program, which we launched on Monday. This is a really exciting initiative that is bringing schools together to share strong practices. The idea is simple. Principals and their staffs will be more effective if they are able to share ideas, visit other schools, and learn from their peers. So far, we have 7 host schools and 14 partner schools across all 5 boroughs and grade levels. Next year, the program will nearly quadruple. As a lifelong educator, this has truly been a personal dream of mine, to encourage, through innovative initiative, system-wide collaboration, and disseminate best practices. It may seem just like a basic change, because it is. Solutions to complex problems are often just that, simple. But this pilot will have wide ramifications, because whether you know it or not, schools in the past have been through competition with one another, discouraged from working together. Best practice sharing is all the more important as we transition to the Common Core, an important instructional shift. The standards will help kids think, write, argue, articulate complex ideas in a way that they haven't in the past. They are what will help our students compete in the future. Our challenge right now is to ensure that teachers have more training and the materials they need to fully prepare their students. After all, we're part of a global market, and our students need to be able to participate in a workforce that demands the ability to articulate, think, and produce. But rote memorization and excessive test prep won't get us there. It has to end. That's why we're taking a fresh look at high-stakes exams. On Wednesday, we took a first step in that direction. Starting this year, for the first time in a decade, we will not base promotional decisions for students in grade 3 to 8 solely on exam results. We were the only district in the state, the only one, to base promotional decisions from one grade to the other, largely on test scores. So going forward, teachers and principals will instead be empowered to make that determination based on a more comprehensive, authentic review of their students' classroom work. That doesn't mean test scores won't be used. It just shifts our emphasis from a single exam to the results to the whole child. This is simply a common sense approach. It's not lowering our standards, but individualizing our assessment and instruction. We are also mitigating tension around something sacred to all New Yorkers, New Yorkers. It's valuable but sometimes divisive commodity. About 540 of our 1,200 buildings have schools that share through co-locations, and it can be difficult. Challenges can arise. Relationships can be tested. Our new rapid response campus squad, made up of Education Department veterans, have already started to troubleshoot problems large and small in co-located buildings. Whether a problematic challenge or a facilities issue, I am deploying experienced staff to these buildings to problem solve. The answers are often right there, and our campus squad can help our principals pinpoint them. Again, complex problems can have amazingly simple solutions. Take the 4 principals who share a building at the Thomas Jefferson High School campus in Brooklyn. The campus squad went in to resolve some conflicts around the sharing of resources. After some discussion, 2 principals agreed to coordinate their bell schedules. Not very complicated, but changing a very, very important part of school so they could then share common resources because all kids were on the same schedule. The best part is that the principals value the support and advice. In addition to our campus squad, we have launched new working groups to engage our partners and tackle solutions to our space problems. In partnership with Deputy Mayor Richard Bury, we have formed a space sharing working group to identify ways to alleviate overcrowding, foster positive outcomes in future co-locations, and develop partnerships that leverage the city's space and resources in a constructive way. Space sharing has often been distorted as an us versus them battle, particularly between district and charter schools. We seek progress by getting out of headquarters, inside schools, and to the bottom of problems, because we need all our children to succeed. It doesn't matter if they go to traditional public school, a charter school, a religious school, an independent school. They all will shape the future of New York, and we will work with all of them to get it right. We are rebuilding. We have laid a solid foundation in our first 100 days, but children need more than a floor beneath their feet. They need a structure that can weather any storm, and that is what we are creating as we go forward. We're starting to take a fresh look at school accountability, focusing on how to best communicate a school's quality. Accountability has been an important catchphrase in the past, a term synonymous with reform. But accountability transcends ideological lines. No one has ever said accountability should erode. What's been clear is that it can also and should be more thoughtful and more thought through. Accountability must occur in a way that's conducive to achieving results, because you don't reach historic heights for kids when morale in our system has plummeted to an all-time low. We want all stakeholders, principals, teachers, parents, to receive meaningful information regarding a school's success and growth areas. In the coming months, we will work to integrate qualitative and quantitative measures to a single report for families and communities. I don't believe a single test score encapsulates a student, and I don't believe a single, often arbitrary, letter grade encapsulates an entire school. The evidence: more than 75 elementary and middle schools last year received a C, a D, or F on their progress reports, but actually scored above the citywide average in proficiency on the state ELA and math tests. That is really something we cannot abide. One of the best schools I visited in the last 2 years was not one of the top grade scores, and one of the worst had received a very good score due to progress, but not necessarily due to ultimate gains. And I do think we need to make it very clear, not only to the profession, but to parents, what a real good school looks like and how it should be evaluated. We will explore new ways to convey meaningful school quality information in clear, transparent manner without oversimplifying or arbitrarily labeling schools. Progress is often dependent on how we communicate, and I don't believe we can expect positive results from our schools if we suggest they can't be achieved. That means ushering in a new era of support. We must support struggling schools. No struggling student can succeed without support from a teacher, and no struggling school can support without support from us. Schools are complex places with many moving parts. In some, they move perfectly in sync. In others, they don't. But looking solely at data may not ever reveal where the fix existed, and often there is a simple solution. That's why we want to support struggling schools, because the answer lies in the room. That's why instituting new strategies to help struggling schools is going to be a major priority going forward. We're looking to partner K-12 public schools with universities across the 5 boroughs, such as Columbia University. We're currently considering over a dozen partner schools to make this a reality. Each institution of higher education will be initially paired with 6 to 8 local K-12 schools within close proximity, particularly those in underserved communities. We have also asked universities to become more proactive in training teachers for bilingual dual language certification. As a former bilingual student, I am committed to increasing this program. Anyone who speaks a second language understands the richness it brings to your life and the rich job opportunities it offers. As a country, we have been severely behind in encouraging students to learn a second language, and I am totally committed to bringing us in line with the rest of the world. High-level training is critical, but I also know that the great teachers can't be at their best if class sizes are too large. Educators can't reach the potential if they teach too many students at once. To ease the burden on educators, we will work to reduce class size. But I know that often the deepest learning happens outside a school building. Academics are not the only part of a child's education, so we're forming unique relationships with cultural and science institutions. Again, one of our partnerships with Urban Advantage at the American Museum of Natural History certifies science teachers is a prototype which I would like to see replicated. This is one of my proudest legacies as a Deputy Chancellor. Another example we are implementing is a museum after-school program, where 7th graders will be exposed to programs that emphasize American history. They'll learn in small groups under the instruction of a trained docent. We want to bring experts in the field into our classrooms and take our classrooms out into the field. These are the types of programs that will help level the playing field. To be truly successful, we need to tackle something we don't frequently talk about, summer learning loss, which accounts for 2/3 of the achievement gap in reading by 9th grade. Students from low-income backgrounds are very likely to slide months back in reading every summer, while affluent students enjoy overall growth. To tackle this challenge, this summer we will be expanding NYC Summer Quest, our pilot program enrichment programs that are designed to support students through fun, engaging, comprehensive programs. We currently have 11 programs in the Bronx, and this summer we are aiming to double that number. With up to 11 more programs serving middle school students, Summer Quest will reach up to 2,800 kids. Summer learning must become a scalable and sustainable strategy for improving student outcomes. But we cannot forget students who need our support, most those with disabilities. And we're working with schools to develop innovative ways to help them learn. District 75, for example, is working with Aldebaran, a robotics company based in France, to explore how robots might improve teaching and learning for students on the autism spectrum. This is just the kind of innovative approach that we will be developing to lift all our children up. We are also renaming the Division of Students with Disability and English Language Learners. It will become the Division of Specialized Instruction and Student Support, which more accurately reflects our commitment to make sure that children with special needs, ELs, and those who are teaching them get the tailored support they need. When I was a superintendent, every elementary school that I worked with had a non-mandated speech teacher working to identify issues early on. I believe that speech teachers do make a difference in early childhood and lessening IEP referrals. So we are looking to increase speech teachers in our system. We are looking at innovative ways to support English language learners, and by working with guidance counselors to deepen their understanding of the tools ELs need to become college and career ready. We're also developing a STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math initiative, especially for EL students, to leverage their bilingual skills and expand their opportunities. This is the kind of focused approach to helping students who have extra needs. School culture where students feel safe, valued, and respected is critical to our success. That includes rethinking how we respond to student misconduct. An over-reliance on suspension is not the answer. I have worked to change the tones towards our schools, and now I will try to improve the tone within the schools. I believe that we need more supportive approaches to student discipline, and we're developing them. For example, by helping schools embrace and deepen their work around social, emotional learning, and building a positive school culture. By embedding the social and emotional competencies into the curriculum and by engaging the whole community in solutions. I have been inspired by the work of one particular network that is focusing on ways to suspend suspensions and has brought some great minds to the table around this topic. We will succeed because everyone in this room and beyond is part of the solution. We will expand the room to the entire city because there's no one in the city who would not benefit from a successful school system. As Susan and I were talking before, every person in the city of New York has to invest in the future of the children because it is those children, ultimately, who are going to be the people who make sure they pay our retirement checks, as well as have the jobs to make sure that we have good geriatric medical care. We need to create a welcoming and nurturing school system in which every student, every teacher, and every principal is heard and supported. A system in which excellence is expected and the entire community comes together to make that happen. So today, I want to list your expertise and commitment to our public school students. I speak to you as my partners in this effort. You are teachers and principals representing public, charter, parochial, and independent schools. You are policymakers. You are chief executives. You are parents. You are grandparents. I take my grandparent, Awella role, much more seriously than I ever took my mother role, because I would not fight for my kids. I was a little bit afraid, you know, as a 30-year-old to argue with the teachers. As an Awella, I am fierce. Anything that doesn't happen for my grandchildren, I will be there on the front line and make sure it does. You are New Yorkers. You know how to fight the good fights. You are all interdependent on one another. Each of you has something to offer. Each of you can help New York City become a world-class educational system. There is an old African proverb: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. The answer is indeed in the room. Today, you are part of the answer, and with your partnership, we will get to where we need to go. Thank you, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you so much, Carmen. I think you can see you have an army of people ready to partner and to work with you in this incredibly exciting vision. We're here. We share it, and we want to be here for you. We're so proud and honored that you chose to celebrate your first 100 days here at Teachers College, and so we want to give you a very special present for that. And I want to call up one of our policy students, who you can call on for advice, Sam Lynn, who wants to present you with a little gift.